Let's sum up your season in 4 words.
Okay, in 4 words. Um, um, I'll say, wait, let me think about this for a second. I want 4 good words. um, my first word will be um, expectation, challenge, um, third word will be um, opportunity, and my fourth word will be um, um, inspiration.
Those are good words. I like those. We'll kind of come back to those. We'll come back to them.
Sure, sounds good.
So this season, what was your, or like at all, what's your favorite place to compete? Whether it's stadium, city, anything.
Um, this season, like any race or like CTFL specific? Or
Any race ever.
okay. I mean, my favorite place to compete is San Diego, at UC San Diego. Um, I love the weather in Southern California. The vibe there is like it's usually competitive, but like not like hyper like everyone's like terrified to be here. It's like competitive but relaxed, and I feel like I love the vibe there. Um, yeah, that's been my favorite place to go back to.
That's
Yeah.
it. And if you had a favorite moment this season, whether it's in San Diego, wherever, where was your favorite moment at all this season?
It's got to be at Canadian Nationals, placing third. There was a lot. It was often in track. You can look at the rankings and you kind of know where you're going to end up or like what you're kind of fighting for. And this is one of those finals where like I think all 8 people thought that they could win the race. Do you know what I mean? And you could come first, you could come eighth. Like there were some people who are doing really well sometimes, but inconsistently. All of us were like in the same kind of area, and being at home in the west on the West Coast in front of my family and club and friends, being able to get that third place and get on the podium was pretty exciting. Because like I said, it was anybody's race. So to come and deliver on the day, it feels yeah, it was cool to know that uh, everything everything I'd worked for those 10 months prior to that kind of came to fruition in that race. That would be the top moment.
Yeah, that was a pretty that was a good race. Honestly. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was anyone's race. Yeah, do you
yeah.
feel like you had a kind of an advantage being, kind of at home?
Um, Not necessarily, to be honest. I think like my teammate who won, Ben, like he wanted to like go to a hotel to make it feel like he's away at a different race. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes there's like some hype that builds just by traveling to a different place and racing. Like you're like, wow, I came all the way here. Like I don't want to mess up this moment. Whereas for me, I just kind of drove down the highway for a bit and I end up there. It's like hard to remind yourself like this is Canadian Nationals. I don't think it's like a huge advantage personally, but I don't think it's a huge disadvantage either. I think in it makes up like the fact that you know that your friends are showing up and your family. That kind of makes up for the fact that you didn't really have to travel to get that place or meet. Um, so I think yeah, it still could be anybody's, regardless of whether you're at home or away. It just kind of creates a little bit of a different vibe. That in track at least, like you're always away, I guess. Whereas in other sports, you're like home away, home away. So like being at home, it's like a new experience, especially for like a bigger race. Do you know what I mean? So it was cool to experience that.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like when your kind of city holds a big meet, it's different.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're only able to run the four hurdle, or run anything or run everything but only the four hurdle. Like I'm so sick. I'm really tired.
No
Like if you could
worries.
if you could only run the four hurdle, would you
Hmm.
rather only run the four hurdle for the rest of your life
Hmm.
or be able to run everything but the four hurdle for the rest of your life?
That's tough. The four hurdle is it's it's not easy. And I always tell people like I didn't choose the four hurdles, it chose me. Like I was in high school, I was kind of like scared of the race and like the 400 in general. I'm like, oh, it looks so hard. No, thank you. But like I ended up being good at it. So like that's where I focus a lot of my energy. Um, but at the end of the day, like what brings me back to the sport is like I love to compete. And I think that the four hurdles is such a fun way to compete that I would probably choose to just run the four hurdle. Um, yeah, I think it's a fun way to compete. There's so many different aspects of athleticism that needs to be put into that. So I think I would just do the four hurdle, although that would be a tough life.
So you kind of refer to yourself as like a part-time 400-meter hurdler, and like you're kind of also a part-time like artist.
Yeah,
So like before a race, do you have a favorite song or playlist that you like to listen before?
to be honest, I don't listen to music before a race. Usually, maybe in the car on the way to a race. I have a I have a playlist. It's like hip hop, R&B, maybe Afro on that playlist. I like to kind of bring like honestly, I use it to calm myself down as opposed to hype myself up before a big meet. Like I just want to like get in my zone and make sure like everything's cool, everything's chill. But when I'm warming up or anything, like I know a lot of guys love to um, wear the AirPods or whatever and listen to music warming up. For me, I don't like to. I kind of like to stay focused and locked in. And I know it like there's some meets where you can't wear anything or like they're gonna control all the electronics you have going out. And I never want that to be a problem for me where it's like, oh, I can't listen to music at this one. Like I'm trying to sneak in one like bud or like I feel like my race is off hyping me up. So I don't really like to do that and warm up, but in the car on the way, yeah.
During the off season, like what's your favorite thing to do, whether it's like make music, just chill, eat a
Hmm.
lot, like what's your favorite thing?
Um, I like to eat. I like to make music. I kind of do that all season. I really like to travel, like non-track related. I feel like when we're in season and like even just training preseason, it's hard to be away from your training group for a long period of time. So I kind of um, took the off season where I don't have to be anywhere to train, um, to travel just for fun as opposed to travel for track. Um, so yeah, I ended up going to the Philippines this summer. That was super cool. And yeah, that's what I like to do.
Oh, it's sick. Yeah, yeah. Traveling is different when you're doing it for track.
Yeah,
I kind of know what you mean.
yeah. It's not that it's not fun, but it when that's the only way you travel, it's kind of nice to have a, a trip where it's not you're not just there for track at the end of the day. Like you're just kind of relaxing and doing whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah.
when you don't have to bring like, 5 pairs of shoes.
Exactly. Yeah. And make sure that you're not doing anything the few days before that's going to hurt your meat. And then after the meet, you're kind of out of there pretty soon. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like kind of a longer question. In 2014, 2015, you ran some like longer distances, like the 6 indoors, the 8 outdoors. You had a
Mm.
PB like 210 in the 8.
Yeah.
Recently, like this season, you ran like 3 1s and a couple 2s.
Hmm.
Um, like what was that transition like running longer distance for the four hurdle to doing
Hmm.
more sprints for the four hurdles?
Hmm. That's a great question. To be honest, the transition was not easy. So I started like with a track club in grade 11, which was 2013, 2014. And in those like high school seasons, I was trying to run like steeplechase. I was doing 15s, I was doing 8s. I was in a middle distance group. Um, and then I could kind of just run the hurdles for fun. It was the 300 hurdles at the time. And I did pretty well. So the next year I kind of put more energy towards just the hurdles, but I was still training with a distance group with like more of a 4 hurdle focus. And again, it went pretty well. I ended up winning BC provincials that year, and then going to university where it was my first like sprint group. So those times that you're seeing up from the distance events are back when I was like in a middle distance group. So that was kind of the mentality, I guess, back then. Then with the sprint group, I think it took my body like honestly a couple years to adjust to sprint training. I think before that I'd been and still to an extent am like it's not necessarily my raw speed that like gets me good times in the 4 hurdles. It's more my speed endurance. Like I think if you take those 10 hurdles away, I'll be coming last in every 400. But against those like at nationals or against any of these top meets, but with the hurdles that I can keep that speed endurance over those hurdles. So going into a sprint group and doing different kinds of workouts where I'm trying to build my speed, I think for a couple of years, my endurance, which was my strength, was kind of decreasing, which I had relied on. And my actual speed, which wasn't that fast, was taking a while to actually get up to speed. So it took me a while to kind of find the balance between those things. But that's why now I'm focusing more like on 1s and 2s, because I feel like I've always had that endurance in me, and that is my strength. And now I'm trying to build kind of on the strength of my speed. So was the transition easy? No, but I trust the process and kept at it, and I'm still learning it myself right now. I hope to run next year. I hope to run an 8 and like a 110 hurdles, like just to see kind of the contrast between those. And I also feel like there's not many people out there who can say they've ever done all those events, who have a PB in the 8 and a 110 hurdle. So yeah, I just want to play to my strengths and also work on my weaknesses. And yeah.
That's awesome. You actually answered my next question, which was, will
Okay.
you run longer distances next season? So
Okay.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I plan to run 1-8 near the beginning of the season, maybe an opener. I plan to not do as many 4 hurdles next season, actually. I feel like this season is being my first season back after taking a year off, a year and a half. I kind of was relearning the race in a way again. But now I feel like I'm a pretty good hurdler, and I kind of maxed my potential a little. I'm pretty good at the race, and I want to work on other aspects of the race, like you said, speed, raw speed, and endurance, and then bring that back to the 4 hurdles. So instead of just pounding out 4 hurdles next year every week, I'm going to be doing a lot more different events, and then doing the 4 hurdles when it really matters and when I can really yeah, get a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this season you represented Haiti at the 2022 NACAC Championships. What was that like? What was it like being on a national team?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. My first national team, my first like international, like my first meet outside of Canada, US, and I I felt like I was fit. Felt like I was ready to run my personal best, and I went down there confident. But I think like seeing like people walk around with like the yellow Jamaica singlet and like the Trinidad and Tobago in red, and like you're really seeing like everyone walking around in their kits. It's like, oh my goodness, like I've watched this on TV, and like it's actually here. And like seeing world champions walk around, it's like I was pretty starstruck at first, I'm not gonna lie. And like even having raced at big meets against good competition, like just the vibe of this place, and even in the Bahamas is like there's such a the community came out to watch, you know what I mean? Like there was the stands were full of people. Everyone in the Bahamas was excited to have us. The heats just was such a blur. It went by so fast. And yeah, I barely remember like the days even leading up to that. You're just kind of like orienting yourself around what's even happening. Um, but after all that settled in, and like you're like, okay, I deserve to be here, I'm ready to run like a good race. It's really inspiring, is all I could say. Like being There's one thing to race the best in your country, and that's a huge privilege that I had gotten to do. But racing against the best of like other people's countries, it's like that's super inspiring to see. Wow, like I have so much more to do, so much more potential to unlock. And that is definitely what's going to be in my head when I'm training this year, this fall, this winter. Thinking about all those guys in their own country grinding and how much further ahead they are than me. Like that's what's going to keep me grinding to come back and give them a run for their money. So yeah, it was a great experience, and can't wait to do another one.
Was there anyone there that you like really wanted to meet, like a role model and you got to talk to?
Um, I mean, I met Kyrion McMaster, who he won NACAX, and he had won at Commonwealth, and always been a always been producing crazy times. So just getting to talk to him and like seeing that people are just like normal people, like down to earth. We're all just training, you know what I mean, to try to do our best. Um, I didn't meet her, but see Shanae Miller Lebo, the Bahamian 400-meter world champion. Seeing her race was pretty crazy, and seeing her warm up. Um, yeah, no, those are two people off the top of my head that was pretty cool to see them in person.
Yeah, it's a you see people from like your own country, like at nationals, you'll see like DeGrasse or Aaron
Yeah,
Brown. But when you see
yeah,
people from other countries, it's weird. It's a
yeah,
completely different vibe.
yeah. Especially like there's something about everyone being decked out in their like country's kit, like the same ones that like you always see in these highlights and reels and TikToks, like representing their country, and like those colors. I don't know, it hits you like, wow, like this is not only them, but it's like the version of them that you see on TV. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like not only are you seeing them, right, you're racing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite intimidating, I can imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of fun, and very like a huge honor to get to represent Haiti as well. Um, can't wait to do more representing them, and hopefully build an even bigger team, a stronger team into the coming international competitions.
Yeah.
And doing, sorry to cut you off, doing things like the CTFL and giving me more experience um, to to race at high levels, and helps obviously in the international experience as well. To So that I go to those meets with experience under my belt of racing people at a high level. So doing things like that certainly helps.
Yeah, talking about like CTFL, coming back to Canada and like high
Mhm.
level. So
Mhm.
you finished second to none other than Roxroy this season in the CTFL. You both ran
Yeah.
in the CTFL final, which the 400-meter hurdle was the fastest race in Canada this year.
Mm.
So what was it like running in that atmosphere, running in such a fast race? Like, did it kind of just go by real quick? And like after, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah. Um, I've I felt honestly pretty prepared. I had gone to several of the CTFL prelims. I'd raced a lot that season, and I also been following my competitors' races. And it's great that we can like see them on YouTube and everything, and the CTFL prelims, and then watching their times from other races, and I felt, even though it was pretty deep in the season, I felt prepared to go out there and do something special. And I felt like I felt ready. I was pretty tired, to be honest. The flight overnight and then the Airbnb kind of got messed up, but um, the I nonetheless I trusted my training and trusted my base and my speed, and yeah, I went out there and Saj was ahead of me. Um, he was kind of pulling away from me on the back stretch, and I was like, okay, like we'll see if he can keep this up. And then he kept pulling away from me, 250, 300, and then we're coming to the final stretch, and I'm like, okay, here's where I'm going to kick. He's got me by quite a bit, but I know that this last bit is my specialty. This like I said, it's my speed endurance that wins me races. So for me, if I give up early, like it's already over. I have to run through the line every single time, and that's kind of is what's gotten me these good times. But yeah, I decided to run through the line. Going over the last hurdle, it's always important for me to get over that last hurdle really well to play to my strengths. And as I'm planning to just sprint off that last hurdle, sprint into it and over it, so I smashes the hurdle, and which allowed me to catch up and just barely dip him at the line. So it's anything can happen in races like that, and if you got to trust yourself and stick to your plan, even if it's like, even I could have saw that he was way ahead and panicked and kind of given up and not giving it my all. Like I got him by a photo finish, like probably a 1/100th or 1/1000th. If any part of me at any moment, any one step was hesitant, like that's 1/1000th. So you like anything can happen in a race, and you got to trust it to the end. And I felt like at that point in the season, I had the experience to trust myself the whole race. And it ended up going my way, came second to Roxroy, and here we are. It was, yeah, exciting.
Yeah, and like kind of continuing with the CTFL,
Hmm.
one of your like words to describe your season was opportunity. So
Mm,
this season, right, you got traded to the Spitfires. What are
hmm.
your thoughts on that? Kind of, it's a new opportunity, new team to grow with.
Definitely,
That like,
definitely. So yeah, at first it came as a surprise, to be honest. Um, but um, it's up to the GMs, and I'm embracing my new team with open arms. I can't wait to bring energy to the team. And like I commented, I plan to be the first CTFL athlete to win back to back. I think this is a cool opportunity to be the first. And we're in a good position with probably having the first draft pick. And I think we're already on our way to building a great team with the new addition of myself and whoever we pick up in the draft. We'll work on those injuries, and I think we're in a good spot. I'm excited for this opportunity moving forward. Hopefully, inject some excitement into the team, and so yeah, excited for what it's going to bring.
awesome. And like this, like it's kind of base season, right? We just ended the
Hmm.
season. Everyone's
Yeah,
kind of just starting up training again. Like,
yeah.
what do you have anything specific that you're thinking about constantly in training, or
Hmm.
or are you kind of just going through, kind of just training, doing whatever coach says?
Yeah, that's a good question. Me, I have to be thinking of something specific to like give that extra 10% in training, or else I'll be kind of slacking a little bit. Um, I think for me, it's focusing on my opportunities and experiences from last season, whether it's Canadian Nationals, CTFL final, whether it's international competitions with Haiti, like those high level finals, like that's where I want to deliver. And I'm always pushing myself to the next level. Like I know I finished second to the Olympian Roxroy, and like I'm happy with that, but I'm not satisfied. Like next, as far as I'm concerned, next season I'm coming to win, to beat Roxroy. Next season I'm coming to be the best in Canada. Next season I'm coming to beat uh, more people internationally. So like focusing on those moments and yes, being content with what they were, but having that itch for more, that's what keeps me going in training and helps me give that 110%. Thinking of those finals, because yeah, and with track, like a 400 meter hurdle final, it's 50 something seconds. If you're not ready to go, then it's hard to fluke your way over 10 hurdles. So I know that like every step here is what is going to count for that moment, because in that moment you can't just scramble like in school, like I'm cramming the day before an exam. You can't get away with that in a final. You got to be prepared, and it starts now. So I'm always thinking about that throughout training.
Do you ever envision yourself in a past race or in a future race in practice? Like, when it gets you're in your last reps and it's getting hard, do you ever envision yourself in a high level race?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely. It's usually like I'm thinking of specific people who have beat me in the past at a specific race. And then I'm picturing those people in a future race in those last reps of a workout. Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. And like next season, do you have any like time goals, like times, meets you want to get to?
Mhm.
Anything?
Um, the Francophone Games is supposed to be next year. I know they've postponed it a couple times, but I'm hoping that it doesn't get postponed, and the standard for that is 51.20. So as far as I'm concerned, that's my time goal for next year. I think if I can go sub 51.2, that means I'm flirting with 50 flat. Um, that would get me into most of the meets I'm trying to get into next year internationally. And I think that would make me very competitive against anyone in Canada. Um, yeah, so that is my goal for next year. I know it's a big jump, but I feel like whenever I've really um, sat and envisioned something and made a specific goal, I've always reached it or come very close, even if it means improving my time by a second. It's happened before, so I'm gonna believe it will happen again.